Shit. All right, what's up, guys? How are y'all? Welcome back to the OS Rick Project. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. This is something different. I've been talking about doing like a live podcast for a while now, so I figured, you know what, might as well do one at the end of like, I don't want to say the first of every month. I was originally trying to do it like the end of every month, but the way the billing cycle is, like it ends near the beginning of the month. So I figured, well, we'll figure it out. Anyways, guys, welcome to the podcast. I want to say thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Again, we're doing a live one just to see how this works out. How are y'all? What you been playing? Happy New Year, by the way. We are doing this podcast on a Tuesday night, January 3rd, 2023. It's going to take me a while to remember that. I'm going to put on my paperwork in 2022 for the first couple of weeks and then adjust. You know how it is every year, guys. Thank you for dropping by. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. How was y'all's New Year's, guys? What'd y'all do? Did y'all go out anywhere? Did y'all go visit some friends? Did y'all stay in? Did y'all celebrate with loved ones? What'd y'all do, guys? Um, me, I stayed in. Me and the wifey just hung out at the house, and we played Monster Hunter all night. We started playing around 9 o'clock. It got to around midnight. We just looked at each other like, "Happy New Year." All right, back into the hunt. We just played Monster Hunter all night. That's what we did. And you know what? I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I wouldn't change it. So now that I'm older, I just realized, you know what? I don't need to go out all this time. It's fine just staying in. So I don't know if it was just being conditioned because during the quarantine or what, but now it just feels like, you know what? I'm fine, perfectly fine, just staying home and playing video games and just hanging out. Anyways, um, so what you guys been up to? I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter Rise. I don't want to say I'm this close to buying the DLC, but I kind of want to purchase it. But then I looked at the price and it's like $30. I'm like, man, the game was gifted to me and while it was on sale for $20. And I was like, dude, the DLC is more than the game. It's like, I kind of want to pick it up, but at the same time, I'm nowhere near the end game of Monster Hunter, of vanilla Monster Hunter Rise. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna wait on the DLC, and when it comes down, I'm sure when we get a freaking Steam summer sale or a Steam spring sale or Steam whatever, because those things come out every freaking other month, right? Once that happens, maybe I'll pick up Monster Hunter Rise, the Sunbreak DLC. That way, if I'm still playing it, I have something to play. But I mean, I'm enjoying the game a lot. I really am. But I do have a tendency. I'll be honest with you guys. I do have a tendency of sometimes I'll just gonna drop a game and just start picking up something else. I mean, especially right now with February, a whole bunch of games come. I mean, in January we already got. And I know I talked about this already briefly, but we already have Monster Hunter Rise. We already have Fire Emblem Engage coming out, so I'm excited for that. And then in February, we're gonna have a whole bunch of other stuff. Resident Evil 4. What else? I wish I, I didn't make a list, but you know what I'm talking about, right, guys? And then in the summer, we got Final Fantasy and Street Fighter. So I mean, there's already a lot of games to play. So even if I don't pick up the DLC, it's fine. But like I said, I have been having a great time with the game. And I've been using the great sword, and I've actually like looked at some videos on how to properly use some of the abilities because the game, will say, "Here are the moves, have at it." And I'm glad that you can play it any way you want, but I'm the kind of person that I want to make sure when I'm in there, I get the most. I have like be as efficient as possible as I can be, so I can get onto the other next hunt because sometimes these hunts they could last a good while, and I enjoy it for sure. But I want to kill the next monster. I want to get the next items, get the next loot, and get the next upgraded weapons or armor. And that's been just that's been really fun to do in the game. Just every time me and Mikkel were playing the game, and we had some of the buddies, the gang show up. We had a Colonel and Two Fort also help us out, and of course they're higher levels and they know the game a lot better than me and my wife do. So they would come in, just clear everything. Like these poor monsters didn't know what hit them, but yeah, some of these fights they could last a good while, especially on a hunt where they want you to kill two or more monsters, or collect things. And the thing is, you can. I mean, you guys probably, I'm sure, you know the premise of Monster Hunter, but I've been having a really good time with it. I've been enjoying it. Like I've had it for 2 weeks and I already had like 33 hours in it. I mean, that's all I did during my little mini holiday vacation, the 3-day weekend. I just played a lot of Monster Hunter. So I've been having a blast with that. I've been, just like I said, just sticking mostly with just the great sword, but eventually I'm going to try some other weapons. But we'll see. Um, I did do a stream on Saturday. I don't know if you guys were able to catch it, but I did. I just what I it was under the. I am. Hey, Len, how are you? Welcome to the podcast, Len. We're doing a special live episode. Um, During Saturday, I did a stream where I just painted my minis and actually had a good time. And I had several people in there. It was the usuals, but you know what? I had a good time doing it. It was a little tricky because trying to set up the camera and the lighting on my my stream deck, on my streaming desk and everything. So I made sure to I got me a nice little cutting mat. That way next time we stream, I'm able to put that on there because I do not want to damage my desktop. I don't want to spill paint. I don't want to spill glue. So I'm gonna try to do more of those streams where I just get my minis and paint them and assemble them, because I actually had a good time just breaking it down and cutting them off the sprues and filing them down and gluing them together and just breaking down my experience with Warhammer, and having other people just chime in with how they've if they've ever played the some I've had some people did play the game, have played the game, or know the franchise, I should say. But yeah, I did that Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon for like 2 hours. I just did, streaming my little minis, and I want to do that again because I got the minis assembled, but now I want to apply some putty on there so I could like cover some of the gaps to help fill them in. Because when you're assembling the minis, you want to file it down where like the little nubs that were attached to the sprues. I wish I had one with me, but sometimes the little extra won't make the pieces fit right, so you have to like file them down to get it nice and even and make a connection. And I was having trouble with one of them where the cloak, it was two pieces coming together over the shoulder and it had a big old gap. So we're gonna go back in there, we're gonna fill it in, and might do that maybe like a Friday night stream or a Saturday afternoon stream or something. So we'll see. But like I said, several people showed up during that, which surprised me. I didn't think anybody like would care, But it was fun just getting support from my little community and people who were dropping in. That was fun. So yeah, Warhammer. I've been getting into that lately. It's been super fun. If you guys haven't ever done it before, like the game itself is fun. But the aspect of assembling and painting your miniatures, that's something that I really appreciated, because I tend to have the mindset of just I get this intrusive thoughts just get into my head, this anxiety that builds in. But when I'm with those minis, or when I'm in a game, which is why what's one of my favorite hobbies is, I could just focus on that. I could just focus on the game. What's the next objective? What's the next monster? What's the next thing to go create or find or go explore or something, and same when I'm building the my Warhammer minis, right? It's, take your time, get it off the sprues, file it down, do this add, apply some glue, hold it, think about your next move, find the next piece. And when I'm doing that, and it's also assembling is one aspect of it, but also the painting part, right? So you prime up your mini, and then what color schemes do you want? What colors are you bringing out? How do you want to blend this? What's the technique? How do you want to go with the contrast paint? Do you want to do a base paint? Do you want to start with this area? And just having my mind set on a task helps me out so much, because like I said, sometimes I start thinking about like, oh shit, bills are coming up, or I gotta worry about this about for work, or I hope so. It just sucks because it just starts snowballing, and no amount of anxiety is going to change anything, and I got to learn that. That's something I got to live. And I mean, to live with, and I got to just stop bringing it home. That's my biggest issue. And I think that's going to be like my resolution for 2023 is just, Rick, stop, smell the flowers, tranquilo, chill, you're going to be fine. So, so yeah, that's been my weekend so far, guys. Monster hunting, staying in and doing some little streams, and I want to do some more of those little streams. So if you guys are into that, please drop by. I would appreciate it. Let's get into some of the video game news, guys. Who's excited for Hogwarts Legacy, a Harry Potter game? You know, I'm I'm like a casual Harry Potter fan. I read the books when I was younger. I enjoyed them a lot. I know there's been some controversy with J.K. Rowling for about things that she said, and some people find that offensive, and some people don't. I personally, I don't care. It doesn't bother me, but I know some people are wanting to like boycott the video game, and that's what I'm curious about. I don't want to play the game. I don't care much for it. It does look pretty cool, but it's one of those games I got to see first before I could make an opinion on. But I wonder how it's gonna take off with the public. I wonder if the comments that she made over I think it was last year, the year before. I wonder if that's gonna have any play into it. I'm curious about that. But anyways, I was looking at the game itself, and it's nothing new. We know this already, but games always come out with your base edition. Not all of them, but it's been a trend lately. I'm sure you guys have probably seen it already, where games start off with the base game, and then you get the deluxe version will have some like in-game outfits or items or stuff, special stuff like that. And then there's always the holy shit collector's edition. And I've already talked about this before in my other podcast, but the base game coming in at $70. Okay, at this day and age, these games are so big that $70 is probably going to be the new norm for the AAA titles. Okay. And then you got the deluxe version at $80. Okay, $10 more for some digital items, I guess. But then the collector's edition weighing in at $300. Wow. I mean, at this point you got to be a mega fan to drop $300 on a collector's edition, because like $300 could go to a lot of things. Look, I'm not here to tell people where to spend the money. I don't. I mean, I spend my money on stupid shit too. Okay, I'm guilty of it. But $300, that's a big chunk of change. And I get it, right? It's a AAA game. They got teams of who knows how big. I mean, AAA team games, they could be anywhere between what, 500 to 1,000 people, maybe bigger. I don't know. I mean, who knows? And they got to make their money back, right? Some way, somehow. So, I mean, I'm sure that's a way of doing it. But I'm not, honestly, like I said, it has to be a game that I'm super hyped about, and that I would really want if I was willing to spend that much money. I mean, the only one I could think of recent memory that I would spend that much on, well, maybe not $300, but I would say Elden Ring. But even then, $300, like from PVC statues of millennia, like I don't know. So what do y'all guys thought? Let me know what y'all think about collector's editions. I mean, is that something you guys get all the time, or is it something depends on just what game it is that you're interested in? Because like I said, I see that coming out a lot more frequently when it comes to the AAA games. And again, I know it's a business; they got to recoup some of their financial losses, right? So another thing I've been looking at is usually every month, halfway through the month, I like to look at the NPD reports, the National Purchase Diaries, just to break down like what games were the best selling of the previous month, which is a lot of good information. Because you get to see what's constantly been selling well all year round, or what's like the flavor of the month. And it just gives you a good indicator of what what games have been around and are constantly selling, right? Because every when you check it out, I need to slow down, guys. I'm thinking too much. I'm talking before my I can, like compile my sentences. Sorry, guys. But what I've noticed is on the with MPDs, a lot of times you'll see Mario Kart 8 up there. You'll see Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Auto 5. It gets up there sometimes. When the game has a new release, you'll probably see it on there. It doesn't always stay up there, but you'll see it there. Um, Sports games usually sell big near the end of the year in the fall season, and then usually towards the in the fall season and winter season, that's when you see the Call of Duties always up there. So it's a good barometer to see how games are doing on the sell wise. But there's been another a sales tracker that I've been keeping up, and that's from Steam, which I think is a good and also another good indicator to see what's going on the PC side. Because even on the NPD reports, they'll get some numbers, but they don't include some of Nintendo's like digital sales, and they don't include some other companies' digital sales. So you're kind of just like there's still some information that's missing. But looking at the Steam ones, and they break it down on a week by week basis, which again, I don't want to cover it every week because that's something people can find, but every once in a while I like to just bring it up, especially like the end of the year, as something I want to talk about. But the top sellers for the last week in Steam were the Steam Deck, Elden Ring, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Ready or Not, which I never heard of, and Cyberpunk 2077. So I can see why all these are on the list. I think the Steam Deck, for the most part, had positive reviews and was well received because it was released, I want to say, the summer of this year. One of my good friends has one, and he's been enjoying it. I know my wife has one, and she also likes it. She also likes it very much. So the Steam Deck, I'm pretty sure it's also like it was probably a good Christmas gift too for for the gamer in your life, right? I necessarily don't want a Steam Deck. I think they're cool, but all my handheld stuff is covered by the Nintendo Switch, and I'm fine there. If I want to play something that's like on the Steam Deck, I'd probably play it on my I'd rather play it on the PC. And if I'm going to play on the handheld, I'd rather play on the Switch. But like I said, I think the Steam Deck is a cool idea. If anything, if I ever do get one, it'd probably be like the next generation once they get like the kinks worked out and just make it more efficient, more like give it some better upgrades or something. Because I'm pretty sure, they're already on the Valve is already looking at the drawing board trying to see how they can improve the design or the functionality or the practicality of the Steam Deck itself. Elden Ring, of course, that one's been getting awards all freaking winter season with the award shows coming out, and rightly so, right? I mean, you guys know how I feel about Elden Ring. It's like my favorite game of 2022. So I've been having a blast with that. Call of Duty always sells. Ready or Not, again, I don't know what that is. I haven't looked it up. And then Cyberpunk 2077. The game has been on sale lately, and I'm still considering purchasing it. I mean, if anything, I might pick it up while it's on sale and then just play it later on down the road when I have some downtime, because at 50% off, it's probably not a bad idea. And then hopefully if what's that DLC that's coming out, guys, with Idris Elba? Phantom Liberty. I might check it out. But again, it's like, do I want to spend that much time on, I don't know. Depends. We'll have to see. What else, guys? This is a question I've been asking on the Discord, and I don't know if you guys have been able to check it out or not. But I was looking at Steam, and I was looking at what are the top 5 GPUs that are currently used for Steam, that are used by Steam users, all right, or are in possession, or that Steam users have in their computers. And looking at the list, they have a lot of GTX. I'm going in order, okay, guys? GTX 1650, and then a GTX 1060, RTX 2060, a GTX 1050 Ti, and then an RTX 3060. So just looking at that list, and I kind of scroll down, and Nvidia had a chokehold on the GPU market. And I think we all know this, right? If you're into PC gaming, you probably know that Nvidia is probably the GPU that almost everybody recommends to somebody. And rightly so, right? I mean, they've been around. They got some really good GPUs. I think sometimes their pricing goes to their head sometimes, because I think they recently had a 4080 and then they unlaunched it, and now it's coming out, and the CES is going on right now, guys. Len, you might be keeping your eye on that, right? But CES is going on right now, and Nvidia is bringing out what they was going to be the 4080 is now be the 4070 Ti at an appropriate price range of like MSRP of like 799. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. These are expensive stuff. Look, when I bought my GPU, I have a 3090, right? I bought it in April of last year, and it was still kind of like probably not the best time to purchase it. So it was a little bit high. I don't regret it, but you know what? I know for sure with this GPU that I have now, it's gonna set me for years down the road. So I'm gonna be fine with that, right? At least that's my copium that I'm huffing when I tell myself why I purchased that GPU, right? But looking at the list though, you see that it's a lot of it is like, 1650, 1060, 2060. Like the only one that's in the 30 series is the 3060. That one's priced at $412, and then the rest, 162, 185, 184. And I'm just looking at Amazon prices, right? So looking at the price ranges of these GPUs, I think it's important that even though like Nvidia keeps putting out these big old massive power hungry GPUs, which are nice, right? But they also have the price tag to follow it. And when you're on a budget, it's kind of hard to justify putting in, that amount of money just on one component of your PC. Now, mind you, I'm a firm believer of, if you're gonna spend on something, if you're really gonna like spend on something big, it might as well be the GPU. Your motherboard doesn't have to be that fancy. The CPU, as long as it's doesn't as long as it doesn't bottleneck your GPU. You want a decent case. And of course, these are all, building a PC is so there's so many options, right? You could go with, you want air cool, you want liquid cool, you want RGB. I mean, personally, I'm a fan of like non-RGB. Like, I just leave mine like at basic white. That's it. White color. That's it. You how much RAM do you want? What kind of special bells and whistles and all? I mean, and that's fun, right? But at the end of the day, you got to remember though, guys. Like for the most part, people don't have, $1,500 to spend on a freaking gaming computer. And what I'm trying to say with this, guys, is like, don't feel like you have to get the latest and greatest just because it's out there. I mean, it doesn't mean just because Nvidia or AMD or Intel releases something new, it doesn't mean that whatever you have right now is gonna like suck. It's gonna take you. And video game developers know, if you ever look at the, like when it comes to games, like the minimum requirements, a lot of them are like the 1050 GPU. So even developers on this, at least when it comes to Steam, know that, look, we got to make sure our game is at least playable on these GPUs, even though they're older. So I mean, I wouldn't. Don't feel free. I mean, don't feel free. Don't feel like you have to get the latest and greatest. I'm just saying that. That's all. But I do a lot of my gaming on the PC, and I do enjoy my time there. I do want to build me another one just for like a project to see if I could build one. I'm pretty confident that I can. The information's out there. But yeah. But I was looking at different things to talk about, and I was looking on Reddit. And Tom's Hardware, they had a link about desktop GPU sales hit a 20-year low. Now, I'm thinking that's because I'm guessing, now that we're kind of out of the we're not kind of, but we're out of the quarantine. People are out and about. They're not locked indoors all day. I'm guessing, and then because the cryptocurrency took a big hit. I know Ethereum went to a proof of stake. so they don't use GPU cryptic mining as you know. It's not as common. They don't it doesn't be done for whatever. Yeah, it's freaking crypto, dude. I wish I could break it down better. But anyways, like, so you know, with that not having to use the GPUs, it's started to become more readily available, and I think that's, like, again, that's a good thing. It's just that, you know, a lot of these newer cars, like the 40 series and the RX 7900, are have an MSRP of like $899 to $1,400. Again, guys, that is super pricey. Like, you'll be fine without it. I mean, and I was also looking around too, like the equivalent of like the PS5 GPU would be like a 2070. So, I mean, honestly, guys, at the end of the day, though, as long as you're happy with what you have, we like the performance of it. I mean, that's all that matters, right? And I'm telling you right now, guys, I play like on a 1080p monitor, a Benzawi, a Zowie BenQ monitor, 1080p, 144 refresh rate. So nothing spectacular. I think that's about it, guys. I know it was a short podcast. I didn't like. I kind of just had not that much stuff going on this week. At least not with the video game news. Like I said, I just played a lot of Monster Hunter, which I had a good time with, and I plan on going back to it. And also, I've been playing a lot of Crisis Core. I really do. I know I talked about this already, but now I'm just want to talk about whatever. But playing Crisis Core, it coming down on these little bite-sized missions makes it really fun to play. I was playing it last night, and that's all I did. You can play the main game, which is fine. Uh, I'm starting to pick up the vibes of like, this isn't my Final Fantasy. This is something else. And I know it's not based on the same characters of the OG Final Fantasy that I play with. You know, you know, the Cloud's in there somehow. You know, a young Cloud is in there, and you know, Zack, but Zack wasn't really mentioned that much in Final Fantasy VII. So you're playing with these different characters, the same world, and I like that part. But man, it just feels like maybe if I was younger and I played it like when Final Fantasy VII was relatively new, I think I would enjoy this more. But the way the characters kind of act and the style of the game, I mean, look, that's just like the story part of it. You know, the actual gameplay is really fun. I like that a lot. You know, you're constantly changing your materia, changing different loadout, you're getting different things, different items to, you know, to try different stats, and you're getting different enemies that have different weaknesses. That part, the gameplay part, I do enjoy. It's just the story. When I see Angeal and Sephiroth and Genesis and everybody just has one wing, and Zack is like, he's not really cool. I'm sorry. I think he's all right. But yeah, playing that one on the Switch, I've been enjoying it. I did see the Digital Foundry comparison video from PSP and then to now on the Switch, and I'm glad I'm playing it on the Switch. To tell you the truth, it's a really fun game. I think if should you play it if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII? Now that's a good question. I've heard some people ask me that. I don't know how to respond with that because you might need to play Final Fantasy VII just to get the gist of what's going on. Even though, like I said, I'm excuse me, guys. I'm 11 hours into Crisis Core. The characters are starting to reveal more what they're about, but I think you might have to play 7 first to really play this one, and not the remake, like the OG Final Fantasy VII. And that's going to be difficult for a lot of people who didn't grow up in that era of gaming, because I'm of the mindset of, you know, graphics take a backseat to gameplay. But, you know, if someone is just looking at that game and they just see the whole blocky, you know, the blocky characters and on the PS1 era graphics, like I mean, I wouldn't blame them if they say, man, this looks kind of crap. It didn't age well, you know, let's just say that. But Yeah, I would tell people if you're gonna play Final Fantasy Crisis Core, play 7 first, the OG one first. The port that they did for the Nintendo Switch, I enjoyed it a lot. I go back to that game every couple of years. They added some nice features like, shut off random encounters, or um, um, top off your characters, as in like fill up their health and MP, or you could speed up the game. The speeding up the game part is really, really good, because there's some times where the characters start walking around, and or you got to walk around for the long distances. You can speed it up, and it just makes the game that much more better. It really does. um I think that's it, guys, for what I've been playing. Like I said, it wasn't much this week. I spent mostly just hanging out with the wifey, doing New Year stuff, Monster Hunter, Crisis Core, and there wasn't that much on the news that I want to talk about. I mean, there's some things maybe out of CES that I'll talk about next week, about more GPU stuff, and maybe some new releases that Nvidia's gonna be bringing out, or whatever AMD or Intel has. Who knows? But anyways, guys, I want to say thank you for hanging out. I just, like I said, this is like a little live podcast. I want to try out, see how it is. And if it goes pretty good, maybe I'll do another one. If I'm thinking, once a month, I'll try to do like a live podcast or something, just to keep me on the toes. But anyways, guys, I think that's it for me for tonight. Get some rest, get some sleep. Don't stay up too late. Have a good night. Thank you for listening. If you guys want to help out the podcast, you can just tell your friends about it, or just help the channel grow, stuff like that. Really appreciate it. That's it. I'm done. Good night, guys. I will see y'all next time. Peace out. Bye.